I gotta run. That's why I was looking down on camera. The viewer was wondering why. I'm trying to get information from my producer in my ear and looking on my email here. I'm being told that with this story out of Littleton, Colorado that we have been telling you about the schools being on lockdown. Apparently there is a shooting in Arapahoe High School in Centennial, Colorado. We're told, Eric, again, two people believed to be shot. The suspect's still inside of the school. This is in Centennial, and we're trying to get more information on this. But again, according to the information that we have from sources here at CNN, there's been a shooting inside Arapahoe High School. And I want to bring in, let's talk to Jane Velez-Mitchell. Jane, you know what, you covered Columbine, right? This is where the area where Columbine happened. The normal security measures. Let's talk about that in schools, in that area, and schools across the country.
This is gut-wrenching, and every time we hear one of these stories, you know, it gives me a pit in my stomach, because I remember Newtown and how it started, and how it was started just the same way. Oh, there's been a shooting and we don't really know what's happened, and then it just got worse and worse and worse. I pray that that whatever happened here, as horrible as it is limited, and it is not a mass shooting of any weight, any sort. Unfortunately, with gun violence in this country the way it is, we wonder how bad is it? That's the first thing we wonder. How bad is it? And I know obviously parents in that area have got to be concerned. I know everybody will stay calm. I know law enforcement, the height of professionalism in these kinds of crises, and they respond with calm and with courage, and they go and they put their lives on the line, and they go into situations where they don't know what the outcome will be. So I hope that this is something that's very limited, and maybe we'll find out that it's not as bad as even you've reported.
Yeah, we hope so. And I remember I was on the first person to report on the anchor desk about Newtown and about Sandy Hook, the elementary school at Sandy Hook. And at first, it was just a principal, we thought, a school official and a lone gunman, and it had all been taken care of. And by the time I got home, or I was in Washington, back to my hotel, we heard about the 20 children who had died there. But listen, we don't know if this incident is as serious as that. But we are being told through officials in Colorado that at least 2 people have been shot in Arapahoe High School, and the gunman is still inside the school. According to officials there, there's been a shooting at the school. I believe there are 2 victims, and that the suspect is still inside the school. Again, Arapahoe High School is in Centennial. This is in the same district, the Littleton Public School District, as a Columbine
And we
shooting.
know that schools have developed protocols, and they actually train and they drill on what to do in situations like this. And teachers have been told to get their students out of harm's way. And I know parents who have talked to me personally about drills that their kids have gone through at school. It used to be, you know, back in the 50s, you would do drills by hiding under the desk. And now we do drills that hopefully will get kids out of harm's way, out of the school, and into a neighboring property or into an area within the school that they can be safe from harm.
Again, if you're just tuning in, we're getting reports now that out of Littleton, Colorado, that all the schools are on lockdown. It is apparently because there has been a shooting inside Arapahoe High School, which is in Centennial, Colorado. There's been a shooting there. At least 2 people have been shot. We're told the gunman is still inside of the school. And we're working on getting you pictures and more information coming from Centennial, Colorado. But again, Littleton on lockdown. We all remember the Columbine shooting there, and as has been reported, the number of people who have died. We don't know, again, if anyone has been killed in this, but we do know that 2 people have been shot, and that's according to reports from officials there at near Arapahoe High School, and the gunman again still inside the school. Our Jane Velez-Mitchell joins us. Jane, we're here to talk about a completely different story, but both of us have covered these school shootings. Both of us covered Newtown. Both of us covered the Columbine High School shooting, and I remember vividly covering that story, and that was sort of the beginning of this wave of school shootings that we have been seeing recently.
It's absolutely horrifying, and the problem is, if there is a shooter inside that school, well, the imagination runs wild, because we don't know how many rounds this person may have, what kind of weapons this person may have, what their motive might be, whether this is something where they have a gripe, or whether they're mentally ill, or both. And so this is really a big question mark and a big unknown. And again, as soon as we get any information, that will help us tailor our sense of what actually is the magnitude of what's happening there. But at this point, we do not know whether this is something that is relatively minor and is something that we can sort of say, oof, thank God, you know, it's okay, or if it's something much more major.
Anytime, though, that there is that something like this happens inside of a school, it is serious, whether one person or no one gets injured, because to bring a weapon inside of a school and to expose people there who have no idea that you're coming into the school with a weapon is horrific.
And
that is a high school. Yeah, and most of the high schools are big now. I was actually surprised when we were just in Danvers just a couple of months ago, just how big that high school is. Yes, this is a big high school. It's Arapahoe High School. It is in Centennial, Colorado, and again, all schools there in the area, which is the Littleton area, have been placed on lockdown. Again, 2 people dead inside of the school. Excuse me, not 2 people dead, 2 people shot. Scratch that, 2 people shot inside of the school. We're not sure of the injuries yet. And that is all we're learning. We're getting information from my producers now, and we're working to get information from sources and from officials there on the scene. Jane Velez Mitchell, the host on HLN, joins me now. And Jane, as I said, we were going to talk about a completely different story, but since you're here, we can talk about this story.
We'll take a look at this from the air, and you see that there's a parking lot, there's a baseball diamond. So there are areas where if the students can get out of the building, they can really run and make a break for it. And I don't know if it's something that is necessary, but I would assume that that would be something that you would want to do, is get those kids out of there, get them away and as far away from that facility as you absolutely can.
Okay.
Now, we saw in Newtown that there were teachers who performed so heroically and put themselves in the line of fire to protect the students. The students rely on their teachers to guide them in situations like this. And of course, you have the issue of cell phones. You know, this is a high school, so these are not little kids. These are high schoolers who have the capacity to text and the capacity to call and the capacity to email other adults and let them know what's going on. So we may be getting information from inside the school.
And let me just read this information that I'm getting from the producers here at CNN, and it's saying that Arapahoe County Sheriff Grayson Robinson told one of our affiliates there that there has been a shooting at Arapahoe High School. He believes there are 2 victims, and that the suspect is still inside the school. Again, Arapahoe High School, and it gives the address there. It's part of the Littleton Public School District. There are 70 different classrooms in the high school, which covers about 254,000, as you were saying, it's a big school, Jane, 254,000 square feet, and there are 2,200 students at least that attend the high school. The school was built back in 1964. Again, all of this information just coming to us here on CNN. The schools are on lockdown. That's according to a district security officer. She wouldn't give her last name, but this is from the office, and she says it stems again from an incident at Arapahoe High School in Centennial, Colorado. So again, for those of you who are just watching this is a serious story. We never know just how serious these will turn out to be and if there'll be dire situations here.
Now,
but we're hearing that there have been 2 people shot at Arapahoe High School in Centennial, Colorado. Jane Velez Mitchell joins me. I'm Don Lemon, 321 in the East here. Jane, go ahead.
Well, you know that police, EMS, firefighters, every able-bodied man and woman who is trained to respond to situations like this is descending on this school as we speak, and they are surrounding it, and they know the layout of the school. This is part of the training. While the students inside have trained on how to get out with the help of their teachers and the principal and the other administrators, the cops and the EMS teams are trained how to get in and how to help. So what you would have right now, even though we are looking at a Google Earth, in real time, this school is going to be surrounded by law enforcement, and they and the SWAT teams the highly trained SWAT teams that are deployed in situations like this are finding their way into the school if they're not already in the school. And these are the heroes who put their lives on the line going in, not knowing what they're going to face, what kind of weapons this suspect has, what the aim of the suspect is, and whether or not the suspect is mentally ill or somebody with a grudge, a former student. We have no idea. And so to deal with the unknown, here we are sitting here talking about this, dealing with the unknown. Imagine the courage it takes to go into the building while dealing with the unknown. But this is what they're trained to do.
But imagine the students inside of that school. If the gunman is still inside, the students, if there are students who are still inside, imagine in Colorado, it's still early, so 1 in the afternoon, so there would still be students inside of the school for the most part, unless they are out for the Christmas break, which I think it's a little too early for that.
Yeah.
And then the staff as well. There would be people who are inside of that school, and as you said, it would be these brave men and women who rush to the school going in and without knowing the complete circumstances, if there are more than one gunman, because who knows? They think it's one gunman now, but you never know. There could be other
And there are
accomplices.
lockdown procedures.
Right.
In other words, what they try to do is limit the ability of this individual to move around the school, and that's part of the training. So they try to create areas, safe zones, where these students can go, even if they can't get out of the building, that they can then lock down. For example, a high school cafeteria or a gym, where they can get all the kids in that area and then protect them from and limit the area where the suspect can roam within the school. Now, easy to say on paper, easy to say in training, a lot more difficult to do in real time when there's a crisis unfolding as it is now.
If you're just tuning in, you're watching CNN. Don Lemon here with Jane Velez Mitchell from HLN. We're getting information from Colorado, specifically Centennial, Colorado. It is part of the Littleton, Colorado School District. Of course, we know that is where the Columbine school shooting happened back in 1999. We're being told that in Arapahoe High School, the school that you're looking at this Google Earth representation of, inside of that school, 2 people have been shot, and the gunman, according to officials, still inside of the school, and we're waiting to get more information to find out the extent of the injuries and obviously who the gunman is and whether or not they have this situation under control. But this is all just coming in to CNN as we speak, and we are checking with our sources and with officials there in Colorado to try to get more information. Jane has been telling you about the procedures that are used when schools are put on lockdown and how these officers and officials go inside to try to figure out, to get control of these particular situations. And since Columbine, since Newtown, since all of these shootings that Sparks High School, Sparks Middle School, that we have been going over, talking about, these particular incidents, there have been measures put into place.
Absolutely.
To try to figure out what to do, first of all, to try to stop these incidents from happening, but if they do happen, to try to figure out how to handle them.
Well, you got to wonder, though, in light of all that we have been through as a nation with tragedies and horrors and violence in schools, how somebody can still get into a high school with a gun in this day and age. Obviously, it's hard to turn them into essentially prisons where kids are traumatized by having to go through metal detectors to go into school.
And they're locked in, basically.
Yeah, and that has to have an effect. Where do you find the balance?
Stand by, Jane. I want to bring in CNN's Tom Foreman. Tom was